We've been watching 12 News coverage of the U.S. Senate debate between Kari Lake, the Republican candidate for Senate, and Ruben Gallego, the Democrat, and it was pretty much everything I think we thought it would be. It was inflammatory. There was a ton of rhetoric, but did we really learn anything new?
Yeah, a lot of punches being thrown. Brahm, the past hour we've been watching. What's your initial takeaway?
You know, Kari Lake had something. We talked about this before 6, extreme makeover. Ruben Gallego, she repeated that several times, but she can't follow through with policy points to say what she do. She put a lot of slogans out there. Ruben Gallego, as I said earlier, kind of ignored her, paid attention when he had to, was very specific on what he do, what he done, and then moved on.
We'll have much more from you coming up in just a couple of minutes.
Yeah, stay with us for our coverage over on 12 Plus. We'll be coming on there. In the meantime, for those of you watching on 12 News, we'll get you to your network programming.
News debate night coverage continues. Kari Lake.
The 20 million people who have come in unvetted into our country, we must deal with them in order to save our homeland. Do you want to deport any of the people who've invaded our country in the last 3.5 years, Ruben?
Ruben Gallego.
Yes, actually, we should have a proper deportation proceedings. But I also think that we shouldn't deport dreamers. Kari Lake, again, is a voting...
20 million of them?
There's not 20 million dreamers.
We're fact-checking the claims and getting live reaction from the spin room. 12 News Decision 2024 post-debate coverage begins right now here on 12 Plus.
Well, good evening and welcome to a special edition of 12 News. We're providing post-show coverage as U.S. Senate candidates Republican Kari Lake and the Democratic candidate Ruben Gallego just left the stage in what was most likely their one and only debate before the election.
And it was quite the debate. We are joined here by 12 News political insider Brahm Resnik. Brahm, you know, we are just 4 weeks away from Election Day. This race, arguably one of the most important statewide. Out of the gate, how do you think both candidates did?
You know, again, Kari Lake had the right idea. Ruben Gallego, extreme makeover edition. I think she repeated that about 5 times. You know, good theme, good to work it. She wasn't that effective in working it and nailing down the policy problems. What we heard was a lot of, frankly, social media type sound bites during this debate from Kari Lake. Didn't come off well. Also, the interruptions. The moderators didn't do, I think, what they said they were going to do, was to restrain both candidates. Carrie Lake kept interrupting Ruben Gallego. Why does that matter? Because ultimately voters will watch this and come away with, likely ask themselves, who looks like a senator? Who conducted themselves like a senator? Ruben Gallego, calmer, more precise, talking specifically about what he'd done, not paying much attention to Lake. He kept coming back at her, calling her a liar. That might turn some voters off. He kept coming back at her with that, noting correctly she is still waiting to hear from the Arizona Supreme Court whether she's going to be the governor of Arizona. So I don't think she did as much as she needs to do to win over the Republicans. She is losing, the independents she's losing. Talking about her, how'd you put it, my good friend Donald Trump, that's not a way to win over the people you need to become the next senator.
Look, coming into this debate, Carrie Lake was trailing Gallego, not only when it comes to all of the polling, but in terms of dollars, which you desperately need in this last-minute sprint to the finish line before the election. Did she do herself any favors tonight? Because she was the one that had more to lose and also more to gain.
Based on what we see in the donations, the trends, the donors have already made up their minds. It's too late. If you're going to buy ads for the last 4 weeks of this campaign, they need to be bought by now. There's not much time left in terms of TV time, airtime to get ads on. And you're correct. Ruben Gallego has a enormous financial lead on Carrie Lake.
3 times the amount of hers, right? Over 30 mil?
He's raised 50 mil.
Okay, we are going to go to the spin room now. As we continue our coverage, we'll get back to Brahm in just a second. But let's go to the spin room and check in with Ruben Gallego and see what he's saying after this debate.
Close friend, a friend of mine with me. So this is John, actually. So he came as my good luck charm. He was with me in Iraq for all 7 months. So I figured he sent me into some difficult situations in the past. So I had him give me a good pat and got in, and very happy that he came and joined me. It's a lifelong friend. So do you want to guide questions?
Do you want to give opening remarks?
Sure. Well, look, I think. Wait, let me get closer here. Look, I think we all saw who Carrie Lake was. We came with a positive vision of Arizona. We spoke about really serving the country, a life of service with the Marine Corps. Service to country versus someone who will lie, who has continued to lie, and is still lying to this day about the election results, and even is lying right now when she comes to her position on abortion, which is one of the things that most Arizonans are worried about. So we're excited. We're excited about the outcome, and moving on to the campaign. Go ahead.
So we'll start with Ben Giles right there.
Congressman, some personal attacks came up on the campaign stage, on the debate stage.
Oh, you noticed?
We've heard a lot of that on the campaign trail as well. Attacks about your father, attacks about your divorce from Mayor Kate Gallego. Can you just comment on how you're feeling and how you're reacting when you hear this from the Lake?
Sure. Look, none of us should be surprised. This is who she is. She attacked the McCain family and called them a loser. And this is a woman that used to go and have dinner with the McCains. She attacked the Richer family to the point where he sued her for defamation, had to get personal bodyguards, and she admitted that she lied to him to the point where now she's going to have to pay damages. She said that Katie House should be arrested because she is facilitating drugs to the cartel. This is who she is. At the end of the day, that's not what Arizonans need, though. Arizonans need someone who's going to focus on them. Someone's going to focus on making sure that they actually have a secure future, that someone's going to focus on their kids being able to go to college, have a good job. And at the end of the day, her nastiness is going to be her undoing. We're going to focus on Arizona and what we're going to do for them. And she could talk all she wants about personalities and personal stuff, and it's just not going to sell.
Laura at the Republic.
Carrie Lake accused you of an extreme makeover. You were once a member of the House Progressive Caucus. Do you still consider yourself a progressive?
I've been very much involved in making sure Arizona gets what it wants, and have been working on so many different committees, caucuses. These are D.C. terms, and we're going to continue to be making sure we work in that area. This is why I was supportive of the Compromise Immigration Reform Bill, the Compromise Border Bill, something that Carrie Lake was absolutely against. That was a bill that brought all sides together. It had the most conservative members of the Republicans, the most moderate to progressive members on the Democratic side, because we were trying to focus to making sure that our border communities were safe. So I'm going to continue doing that, and those D.C. terms, just don't really matter in Arizona.
We'll do 2 more questions. We'll go to Alex Tabbitt in the middle.
Wait. Give me 2 more questions. I've got 15 minutes.
Calmate, Howard. No, I choose it. I'll give you on the next one. Good. Because we're old friends. How you doing, buddy?
There are multiple instances where Kari Lake seemed to be speaking over you. And I've talked to a lot of Arizonans who said they want to see a fighter in the Senate. What do you say to those Arizonans who think you didn't fight back enough tonight against Kari Lake?
Well, look, you could be a fighter without being rude. And one of the things they teach you in the Marine Corps is a certain level of professionalism and when to assert your ability to fight. And so we got our message across. We didn't have to be rude. We didn't have to be condescending. We didn't have to go personal because we know that we are in the right, that we were had the vision for Arizona. And so she needs to be loud. She needs to lie because she's weak, right? And that's it. The weaker you are, the louder you are. Howard, how you been? I haven't seen you since 14 years.
No, I went and visited you at
That's right. I apologize.
Supreme Court.
All right.
Supreme Court, when they overturned Roe, said this is the decision for the state.
Correct.
We have a measure on the ballot here. Why do you want to go ahead and recodify Roe? Why should this be left to each state?
Because a woman has a right to control her body no matter what state she's in. And I don't think it's fair that a woman in Texas has to go in sepsis before she gets a life-saving abortion. I don't want to be able to be the guy that tells the dad, I'm sorry your daughter was raped, but because you live in Florida, you're going to have to take that rapist baby to term. I think that is what no one wants to see, and I'm willing to take the position that every woman has a right to control her body, no matter what zip code, no matter what part of the country she's in.
Awesome. Thanks, folks.
Thanks, guys. Enjoy your night.
John Bailon, B-A-I-L-O-N.
A very calm, measured, statesman-like performance by Ruben Gallego post-debate. How did he do, Bram?
Well, I just want to point out that was John Bailon who was with him. He was with him earlier today as well at a Tim Walz event. He was with him a few weeks ago, and Ruben Gallego got the endorsement of the American Legion. They fought together in Iraq. They were in the same unit. They considered themselves brothers because of that.
And I'm sure that Ruben Gallego, that this has been one of his, on his campaign ads, the ones where he's talking about himself. He wants everyone to understand, and he wants to reemphasize that. And it's a point of pride with him that he was a Marine who was deployed.
He was a Marine who was deployed. I've read his book. I'd advise people to read his book. It's not a tale of great heroism, but just, you could say just the quiet heroism of all the soldiers, servicemen and women out there who just do their jobs day after day. It's like that, and there's tragedy in there, as there is in the lives of many members of the armed service. You know, so much of these debates are really about temperament, and you saw, as you pointed out, even temperament there. Again, going back to what I said earlier about Kari Lake, all the interruptions, the pestering. You're making a point, and then you have to keep going and stepping on what your opponent is saying. There are lots of people who are going to like that. I recognize that, but are the people you need to vote for you going to like that? Probably not. Well, in fact, those are probably it's probably the thing they don't like. If she could just restrain herself, make your point, let the other person speak, come back. Lots of people can do that.
You know, it's interesting, though, to a certain degree, because there were so many punches being thrown, and he just kept, you know, very stoic and kept writing his notes while she kept attacking and attacking. Is there, you know, to a certain degree, do you kind of think like he's taken a lot? Maybe he needs to punch back a little bit more. Could that be, you know, deemed as a little weaker?
And that was one of the questions there. Many people might see it that way. What we know is this has been a very effective strategy in the past. Kyrsten Sinema used it to good effect in a debate against Martha McSally. Mark Kelly did the same. Stay out of the fray. Don't engage when the punches are being thrown. This isn't a boxing match. It's a debate. You're supposed to let one person present their side, the other person present their side, their ideas, discuss. Again, people like the fighter. That's Donald Trump, right? Those are the Trumpers. I'll keep saying this. The people who are up for grabs in this election probably don't. There may be a segment that does, because just a little big picture here. One of the things I'm watching closely in this election is just a massive realignment of who votes, who really is making the decision in this election. It's going to be a really fascinating thing to watch. Younger men, are they going to turn out? Women, are they really going to hold sway? Latinos, their vote is up for grabs as never before in the last 4 presidential elections. So lots of different groups out there. But again, for the person who's watching this, who took an hour out of their lives tonight to watch this, I think they are more serious judges of this. Leave aside the folks who are just chopping things up for social media.
So then do you think, who is the winner?
Winner or loser, that's in the viewer's eyes. I'm just telling you what I saw tonight from both candidates. Again, good word, Mark, measured Ruben Gallego, showing he is a serious person. Kari Lake trying to, unnerve him, trying to bait him as she does over and over. I think what people saw tonight in Kari Lake is not new. She is likely fortunate there were no kind of viral moments out there.
See, here's, to me, and I want to get your thoughts on this, the disconnect is, yes, Arizona likes fighters. They loved John McCain for that reason, because he was a fighter. But what many Arizonans don't like is toxicity and the constant sniping. And I think there's a general fatigue all over the state on attack ads on both sides. And so if Kari Lake could just separate the strength that she has, and she does have strength, from this mean bully-like quality that comes across.
She's in a fix, right? You need the Trump voters to win. She's trying to mimic Donald Trump in a lot of ways. Donald Trump does many of the same things she does, and he can get away with it, right? The difference between them in polling is about 5 to 8 points here in Arizona. That says something. There's only one Donald Trump.
Right.
You've got to be the one Kari Lake if you're going to win those elections.
And you can't just parrot back his talking points and expect people to buy into it.
Yeah, or just a serious thing. You and I, Tram, discussed this earlier. We have to bring prices down across the board on just about everything. Gas, groceries, homes.
We all agree
everything.
on that, right?
Well,
yeah, I mean, it's very universal, but it's the how.
But also economically, we've lived a long time. When have prices come down?
Right.
You know when? The Great Recession. We're not going through that again. Economically, that doesn't work. It's not the way the world works. Now, granted, inflation's was pretty rough in Arizona over the last several years. It has now moderated. It's moderated, but you're throwing stuff out there, put some meat on it.
Okay, while we wait for Kari Lake, and as soon as she comes to the podium, we will bring you that live. But while we're waiting, let's take a listen to what Kari Lake had to say out of the gate and the punches, as Tram just mentioned, that were being thrown early on.
We are going to be hearing tonight from somebody who's undergone an extreme makeover, to quote an old TV show, somebody who has voted with the most radical Democrats in Washington, D.C. to tear open our borders that were delivered to him in a safe way, with President Trump securing our border, who has torn apart our economy and who has made our children and our lives less safe.
And that was one of the part of the opening statement of Kari Lake. But right now, we want to take a break from Brahm, let you get back to some notes and analysis. And we want to fact check. We want to do some verifying. And we've got Team 12's William Pitts standing by here next to us. And William, what did you glean from this big debate?
Yeah, what we got out of this is there's a lot of nuance in all of these answers. We like hard and fast answers. We like when things are one way. But that's not necessarily the case. This is not a situation where you've got a yes or a no, and you've got a lot of details. And actually, guys, I'm hearing that we're standing by for Kari Lake, so we might have to jump out of this in just a second. But we'll start with one claim from Ruben Gallego, and that is that he voted for hundreds of miles of border wall during his time in Congress.
Absolutely not. I do not support open borders. A country that doesn't have a border they control is not a country. I absolutely agree with that. And to say that, I've been very proud of making sure that in my time in Congress, I have voted and brought thousands of Border Patrol agents to Arizona, have voted and funded hundreds of miles of border walls.
Now, this needs a little bit of context. Now, according to his campaign and the congressional record, Gallego has voted for appropriations bills that funded portions of the border wall. Still, though, he has on many occasions been against and vocally against the border wall. The next one we heard from Kari Lake before, and she said it again today.
Day one, we're going to get busy undoing the damage caused by Kamala Harris, Joe Biden, and Ruben Gallego, who's voted with them 100% of the time. Can you imagine voting with the Kamala Harris and Joe Biden 100% of the time, especially when it comes to the border?
What I said about nuance and context, this also needs more context. Now, the website 538, they do a pretty good job of tracking how closely members of Congress vote with the administration, but they stopped doing that in January of 2023. Up until that point, the data shows that Ruben Gallego did have a 100% voting record. But again, we need context because that website stopped updating the data in January of 2023. He may have continued with that streak. He may have broken it. We just don't know. There's not that same kind of tracking in the sessions after that. Of course, we'll have much more fact checking, guys, coming up on 12 News at 10.
All right. Well, thanks. Look, I don't know what I should be expecting. Maybe my expectations are too high, but I sort of wanted to hear something different. I wanted to hear something different from both candidates tonight, and I didn't. I didn't hear from Ruben Gallego, and I didn't hear from Kari Lake. They both seem to double down on what their messaging has been up until this point.
It's the home stretch. They don't have anything to surprise you unless it's a good surprise. And I think we have Kari Lake coming up right now to speak to reporters.
From the state of Wyoming and chairman of the Senate Republican Conference. And what the people of Arizona saw tonight is that Kari Lake is ready to lead in Arizona and lead in America. What people in Arizona saw, she was focused on the issues that they really care about. A wide open border and sky-high prices. She was focused on it, had answers to it, and the people of Arizona can rely upon her. We saw her opponent not able to defend himself or his record because the record is indefensible. You can't vote with Joe Biden and Kamala Harris 100% of the time and do the things that Kari knows we need to do for a secure border and to get prices affordable again. So we have a number of us here. We'll each talk, we'll answer some questions, but what we saw tonight, Kari Lake, a fighter for the people of Arizona, ready to lead Arizona and the nation.
Why won't Kari Lake come out? Where is she? Why won't Kari come out? I mean, the fact is, you defending her from another state is no use. We asked questions of Ruben Gallego, he answered. Why won't she?
Well, I believe Ruben Gallego only answered about 4 questions. I think you saw a clear... Well, let me tell you, Kari Lake spoke directly to the people of Arizona. It's very clear that her message was that you're the media. Yes. Well, they heard directly from Kari Lake. She made her case to the people of Arizona. And it is truly an honor to be here to support her because as a woman and as a mother, it is very clear that she has a message that is there to talk about how we're going to lower inflation. My name is Mercedes Schlapp with CPAC. And we're here to support her in her efforts to make sure that she can win Arizona. Her goal is to talk to the people, to be able to say, we have to make sure we secure the border. We have to make sure that we lower prices, make it more affordable for the people of Arizona. Ruben Gallego has been a career politician that has failed time and time again. She has gone more times to the border than he has been here in Arizona. He has been so sold to the special interests in Washington, D.C. He's lost touch with the people of Arizona, and it's time for a change in this country.
Where do you live? I live in Arizona. How are you doing? Yeah, thank you. I think I'm the only Arizonan up here, and that's okay because that's going to be a colleague of Kari Lake soon. I'm Charlie Kirk. Nice to see you guys. Kari Lake did wonderful tonight. As an Arizonan and a father of 2, I could tell you that the state is becoming too expensive to live in. I was really pleased by the moderators tonight, allowing nearly half an hour on what I think is the #1 issue in Arizona, which is immigration, what's happening on our southern border. Kari Lake proved that she's ready to serve in the Senate and expose Ruben Gallego's failed record. I'm also wearing a vote early shirt, as you can see. Tomorrow, Kari Lake plans to vote here in State 48, which I think will make a lot of headlines. Voting is now active, which we're really thrilled about at Turning Point Action. We have people chasing ballots all throughout the Valley right now. Today is the first day of voting, and Election Day is the last day of voting. And I believe that we're going to have our movement show up in record numbers in an early volume way in the state. So thank you guys so much.
Charlie, will you answer the question?
Oh, well, I will not answer on Carrie's behalf, but Caroline will. But
I'll ask you,
okay.
because you're the Arizona native.
Sure.
Do you believe that that each state should decide whether abortion is legal? That we should have one law in Arizona and one in New Mexico and one in California? That's basically what she said. She said this should be left to the states. Why should this be left to each state?
Well, Charlie Kirk's opinion on this issue is not why we're here tonight, right? So what Carrie Lake said is that the states have the right to decide what they want. Every state's going to look a little different. We have a proposition right now that's probably going to pass. If the people of Arizona want that, that's what's going to happen in November. That's Carrie Lake's position.
Will Carrie Lake be voting yes or no when she votes tomorrow on Arizona's abortion?
I can't speak for that.
But you guys are here speaking on her behalf.
So, Caroline, you want to take that?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
Hi, thank you. I'm Caroline Wren. I'm a senior advisor to Carrie's campaign. And tonight, I think that Carrie proved why Katie Hobbs refused to debate her. She had a decisive victory tonight, and her words spoke for themselves. And if you have questions for her directly, she will be holding a press conference tomorrow morning in Scottsdale, where she will be voting early and encouraging others to do the same. And so you can ask her direct questions there. And otherwise, we are here if you have other questions that you need us to answer tonight.
President Donald Trump has been rallying and letting Republican Senate candidates on stage giving speeches in Pennsylvania and Michigan. But recently in Tucson, Carrie Lake didn't give a speech. We'll see what happens on Sunday, but should we be reading into the fact that Carrie Lake, at the most recent event, did not give a speech in Tucson?
Yeah, she did give a speech, and I don't think anyone thinks that there's a distance between Carrie Lake and Donald Trump. Their relationship has never been stronger, and so every event that I've ever been at with Donald Trump, Carrie Lake has spoken, so I'm unclear to me what you're referencing.
We were all hoping to hear from
shocked.
Carrie Lake.
I am shocked. Listen.
Really?
Her representative just said she clearly won the debate. If I just clearly won a debate that I think there's so much interest in this race between Gallego and Lake, I'm sure there were a lot of eyeballs watching the debate tonight. It was readily available in many, many places. If I clearly won the debate, guess what I'm doing? I'm coming out and I'm facing those reporters and saying, I just won the debate, as opposed to sending out 4 representatives, 2 of whom we really don't know in Arizona.
Maybe even 3, unless you're extremely online. You might have no idea who Charlie Kirk is. He runs TPUSA, also TP
Turning
Action
Point,
to some Turning Point, which has kind of replaced the Republican Party. Not to harp on a theme that I've been repeating, but these are not the people who are going to win you the voters you need. Now, I don't know how many voters are seeing this spin room, these spin room speeches, but it's not these guys that are going to put Carrie Lake over the top, unless your strategy, and that, I will acknowledge that this is what it appears to be, is just to get more and more Republican voters who agree with these folks and Carrie Lake and Donald Trump out to vote on Election Day or via early mail. They are just trying to build a bigger base rather than win over others or even win back the Republicans they've lost over the last 3 cycles. And keep in mind, Republicans have lost. They're on a 3 Senate seat losing streak, right? 2018, 2020, 2022. This could be 4.
But if you're an undecided Republican voter and you really can't decide, and you watch the debate tonight, and then Carrie Lake doesn't come out.
Especially after she was so aggressive.
So aggressive.
And
what does that say? What does that say? And what would be the strategy behind not coming out and saying, hey, had a great time. I thought we got our points across.
Right.
We talked about immigration. We talked about abortion. I made my points clear, and I'll say it again. Blah, blah, blah.
And delaying her appearance till tomorrow when she'll be at the polls holding her own press conference.
I'll take a stab at that. We've all seen Carrie Lake in these venues with reporters. Inevitably, it turns combative. It is not a good look for Carrie Lake, and not a look you want to have after a debate between the 2 candidates for the U.S. Senate, because it does not appear to be senatorial. So from that standpoint, I would say that was a good decision. Many people might not see this, but you know what? Those kinds of things don't go well for her.
Interesting, except that she constantly accused Ruben Gallego of ducking her. And what did she just do? She ducked.
She ducked?
Yep.
Well, we'll definitely be at that press conference tomorrow to see the most glaring question, why didn't you show up?
Yeah, and I'm sure she will be asked about that tomorrow.
Yeah.
And of course, we'll have coverage and more coverage for you coming up tonight on 12 News at 10. We have reporters there covering it that will be fact checking. We'll have much more of our coverage on this first and likely only U.S. Senate debate between Ruben Gallego and Kari Lake coming up for you later on tonight on 12 News at 10. We hope you'll join us then.